the Gunston 500.
Yep.
Now what is it? Mr. Price 500.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
it's Mr. Price.
Mainstay and
yeah.
Mainstay. That was like really bad alcohol.
That's the
that was one of the
worst.
sponsors.
Cane liquor.
Yeah, it's like it's a South African version of rum, but it's like terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah. I did too much of that stuff. Okay,
so let's roll. Okay, I'm going to mess up the name again for sure. But we're here.
Hollingsworth.
So, Arcade Studio Podcast. This is the interview number 4 for the Surfscape Film Festival in Milan. And we're here with Craig Hollingsworth from San Diego, right?
Yes, Encinitas.
Shaper for Lightning Bolt.
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
And you can get a little bit closer to the mic as well if you want. And you can move it around as much as you want.
Okay, sweet. So how long have you been shaping for a Lightning Bolt?
I've been shaping for Lightning Bolt for 21 years now, and I've been shaping for 45 years. Started very young.
Exactly.
But how do you get into that kind of profession?
Well, the price of surfboards can be expensive, and as a young kid, I didn't have a lot of money, so I started having people shape my boards for me, like Donald Takayama, and I'd glass them myself in my garage in Del Mar. And eventually, I just started shaping my own, and it wasn't going to be my livelihood. It wasn't my goal to make surfboards for a living. It just happened to be really good at it, and I dropped out of college and. I started shaping professionally when I was 18, and for Nectar Surfboards, and it just kind of like my destiny, my fate.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started shaping just after the big the moment of maximum growth of Lightning Bolt, right? Because they from the early 70s, right?
They started 1971. I started about 1974. So
okay.
I was like right in the mainstay because between like 1969 and 1980, the surfboards changed a lot, especially 69 to like 75, 78. Just the board went from longboards to shortboards. And in that time zone, especially like around 1971 to 75, a lot of experimentation. The boards were getting shorter every day and different designs, swallowtails, V-bottoms, just 1 fin, 2 fins, 4 fins, and it just kind of, like I said, a lot of experimentation, and it's a very good, exciting time for surfing.
So also like very creative. You can try and figure out something
very
new.
creative. Like everyone was experimenting, so no one knew anything that they didn't know what we know now, and so just different widths, thicknesses, and because back in the longboard days, everything was long and wide and thick. So anybody could paddle and catch a wave. So ended up going, well, how short can we go and still catch a wave, and how wide, and just the different tail configurations, the bottoms, the rockers, rails, everything was all wide open, like Wild West. So just everybody was just kind of doing their own thing and just experimenting. And, now we have some of the designs kind of down pat.
Yeah,
so
no, there's not much you can really do with you've pretty much gone as wide as you can and as long as you can and short as you can.
Yeah, people are still experimenting with different things and
materials, maybe.
Yeah, it's trying new materials, but the old materials work best, and just a very simple board. I mean, as far as material, like blank with a simple glass job. Works very well. And,
so the actual way of shaping a board hasn't really changed. It's very similar to skateboarding, actually. Like also like the early 80s and early 90s, there was a lot of experimentation with board shapes and materials and stuff like that. But then at a certain point from like mid 90s, it just started getting very like precise and now it's coming back. Kind of like a lot of young kids are skating with old boards, and is that something that's happening in surfing as well? Yeah,
the retro things is really going on big time right now. That's one reason it's Lightning Bolt's doing so well too, because a lot of the shapes came out of the 70s, and I shape more modern stuff too, but the retro stuff is really big, like you said, with the younger people, because they didn't grow up then; they weren't alive,
Yeah, exactly.
And then. Fortunate for me, I lived through it and I learned through it and I shaped through it, so I know it really works well for the retro boards. They are harder to shape. I mean, harder to shape to make them work well. Because if like with single fins, if you have them too wide in the tail, they're too loose and they spin out. If they're too narrow, then they're stiff and don't turn. And same thing with the size of the fin. So it's really tricky to do an excellent board that's not it's easy to ride and works in all conditions. Where when they invented the thruster, it made surfing really easy for everybody. And, yeah.
Everybody's on thrusters back home when we were growing up.
I can't remember that.
That's just the classic shape with the
3 fins.
the 3 fin swallowtail.
Yeah. So basically, when they did the thruster, they could actually literally cut 6 inches off the tail, so you could make a 6 board 6 foot.
Right,
So you could turn that much quicker. In fact, my brother brought the thruster to America. He was overstaying in Hawaii with Simon Anderson, the guy who invented the 3-fin thruster. And they were over the North Shore. And during the week, Simon was riding the single fins like at Rocky Point and Sunset. And my brother was sleeping on his couch at the Kuilima Hotel, which is now Turtle Bay. And he sees in the closet these 3-fin boards. And he goes, "What are those?" Simon goes, "Well, those are my thrusters, my 3-fin thrusters." And he'd only ride them on the weekend at Turtle Bay. He didn't want to take them to the North Shore. He was afraid to. And then my brother saw how well he was surfing on them, and he told the guy I worked for, Nectar Surfboard, Gary McNabb, about Simon's board. So he brought him to America and shaped the first 3-fin thruster in my shaping room for my brother.
Nice one.
Yeah.
But what is the fear there? Like the locals wouldn't appreciate it? Or?
I don't understand. I mean, maybe because it's just such a bizarre kind of shape. Like, but you might get laughed at walking down the beach, but when you take it on the water and they see how well it works,
and you explode off the face.
And it was a brand new concept. So maybe Simon wanted to perfect it first. I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
He wanted to make sure that he was getting everything just smooth, so that when he actually got into the waves, he was just exploding.
Or maybe he was keeping it a secret.
Yeah, it could have been. It's like,
I'm not going to show this to anybody else, and I'll have the advantage. In fact, they actually did. Gary and Simon took it to a trade show in Florida, the Surf Expo, and they were basically laughed at. And Gary, motioned to Simon. He goes, "Well, you better go win a contest. Better start winning some contests to prove this things." And he actually went out that year and won like at least three major contests. One was the Bells in Australia, really huge. I think he also won the Coke, and then he won the Pipe Masters in really big surf. And actually, he borrowed my brother's board. And and my brother goes, "I want 10% of your earnings." And
minimum.
Simon ended up winning the contest, $8,000, and kept the board too.
Fantastic. So this is your first time in Milan?
Yes.
How are you enjoying it so far?
It's really great. People are super friendly, and it's beautiful, the ancient architecture, and it's really nice.
It's interesting that we managed to do a skate and surf festival in the middle of nowhere with there's no waves.
Well,
but
like considering the rain from yesterday, I mean, there were like waves coming through here.
Yeah, we got washed out yesterday, unfortunately.
Yeah, Rory was saying yesterday, in a couple of years they'll have a skate park, a surf park here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I would love it if they would build one of those ones that Kelly Slater put in.
Yeah, that's when he mentioned. They'll have one of Kelly's surf ranches here in Milan.
The surf ranch would be perfect. Yeah, because we've got a lot of water, so it would be pretty. And it's like what's it called? The underground water. The water level is very like shallow. Mm-hmm. So we just have to dig a little bit. Put a train in the middle and we sort it out. It's fine.
A train and like a spoon or something.
Yeah, that's what it is. Have you seen it?
Yeah. It's amazing. I saw they did a competition there.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name was, and it was just like really, really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Like the wave is pretty much always the same. So
it's easy to learn on.
The level is going to get like way up there.
Yeah. They can change the way the wave by the changing the bottom contour. And they were talking it's just such a perfect wave. After that contest, they were talking about maybe at the end of the wave, make a section so they could launch to do the aerials. Because it kind of just end, the wave just kind of ends, dissipates. So they make a shallow part so all of a sudden a section comes over the surfers can do just launch off the thing and just do the final maneuver.
Yeah, it's like the big ender.
Yeah. Finale.
Well done, man.
Yeah, so that wasn't a big thing like back in the days, like the competition. It was more about style and aggression. Like how has the judging changed as well?
Well, I don't know if the judging. Well, the judging used to be a long time ago. It's like you'd ride a wave even when it was not good anymore. You just ride it all the way to the beach, which was kind of, I don't want to use the word stupid, but but it's always been mainly about the maneuvers or getting tubed, and also the wave itself. That's one thing. In the open ocean, you could be the best surfer in the water during the heat, but if you don't catch a wave, your opponent does, he gets lucky and get the best wave of the day, so it's that. But all the maneuvers and tube riding and all that has always been important and still is. Nowadays it's just the level of surfing just gone through the roof. It's like phenomenal. Like like the stuff they do now with the 360 aerials and it's like they're doing skateboard moves. And the thing is they're making them like almost every time. It's not like just doing it once and getting lucky. It's like and falling 4 out of 5 times. It's like they're so good that they just pull it off. Probably more than they don't.
It's just crazy right now.
Yeah, because when you're doing that in a competition, you know that you're going to stick it.
Well, you better.
Yeah. It's one of those things. You don't do that in a contest unless you know that you got like a really high hit rate of landing that trick. But now going back to the thing about kids going back to retro is that I think a big thing about that is that we all look at the videos and the films from the 1970s and the 80s, the Endless Summer, all that kind of stuff. And then we've gone through like the 90s and early 2000s with like high definition and GoPro and Red Bull and all that kind of stuff doing like really in your face. And I think now with people going back to filming on film again and trying to recapture that feeling, because everybody wants that. That's how when you think of surfing, that's what you think of.
There's an old school and new school, and even some of the kids, they miss out on that era. Film, was expensive to produce, and traveling and these, the people that made surf movies mainly did it out. It would be like their second job. It's not really a job; it's like a passion. They'd have a job to pay for that, and then they're editing themselves, and like in a film room, now you can fly to Hawaii, video, and you can be back on the plane. My friend of mine, Sonny Miller, is a surf filmmaker. He used to do all the search movies for Rip Curl and stuff. And he'd be flying home. He'd be editing on his laptop as he flies home. So it has changed not full circle, but it has changed. And but I personally like the classic old movies and the surfing, the style. I'm amazed by the new surfers. They blow my mind. But it's nice seeing the power surfing and just
it's more. It's really elegant and it's really like it's peaceful to watch. And I think that's what I'd say the majority of people like sort of have in their imagination when they think of surfing.
Yeah, it's more style. Just body language and style, not just. They're ripping power surfing. They're doing. People even in the '60s were doing some insane maneuvers. But it's just kind of a different classic look.
Yeah.
And you can really appreciate a different surfer style at that point because it's a little bit simpler. Like if you're like shooting and doing aerials and stuff, it's pretty much going to be the same kind of movement. And you're going to be kind of blinded by the actual maneuver, Instead, if you're a little bit more simple, like you can actually appreciate the individual style of that surf a little bit more.
Yes.
And I think that's also...
it's really awesome to watch.
Cool to watch.
Sweet. How long are you going to be staying in town?
Well, we're actually leaving tomorrow after the show finishes up tonight. Rory and I are judging both surf videos and the shaping contest. And we got here, I think it was Thursday morning. And they had kind of a pre-thing Thursday evening. So we've been here. We're actually staying in the building.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been here for like 4 days. And
it's comfortable.
It's very handy. You go up and down and... it's been kind of wild at night. It's just like especially that day, I think it was Friday, they had the skateboard competition.
Oh, yeah.
And it was crowded and chaotic. The skateboarders are all over the place, and they're doing their little tricks out here in the courtyard. And I thought after it was over, they'd all leave, and it actually turned into like a street party.
Yeah,
so
no,
I mean,
skateboarders never leave.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, not just skateboarders, everybody. I mean, it'd be 11 o'clock at night, and more people are coming through the doors. Like, going,
Yeah, you see
I'm tired. I'm about ready to go to bed, and then around 11 they take it indoors, and they had an Italian rapper Friday night. You know,
he's a famous rapper as well.
Is he?
Yeah. Like,
Who was it?
I think it was Metal Carter.
All right, okay.
And he's like one of the original, like, really heavy rappers in Italy from Rome.
Which is not what you want under your bedroom.
well, I couldn't understand him anyway. So
That's so good.
No,
I
he
remember,
doesn't.
just a stupido.
I think that's one of the tracks.
How are you finding the skill level of the Italian shapers?
I really haven't. I only saw one of the boards so far. It looked pretty good, and I actually did the first one as an exhibition. I kind of had an idea. Maybe we were supposed to do a workshop yesterday, so I go, well, maybe all 2 or 3 of us will shape one board. Like somebody will start it, then I'll talk, while they're shaping, and then I'll go shape, and then the Italians can speak in Italian while I'm shaping, explaining what I'm doing. But it just kind of changed, and I ended up shaping, and then the hailstorm came, and I mean, that was crazy, and it was total perfect for lightning bolt. It's like
Exactly.
thunder and lightning, and hail, and so most people left. And there's one girl out there with an umbrella watching, and then about 10 people came inside the shaping room with me. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty neat.
It's like I was telling him before, when you went to get the car after the hail came.
Yeah.
I was just like chilling here, and at a certain point it was all dark, and I see this figure just walking slowly in the hail and the thunderstorm. I'm like, what the hell? And it was just like, it was him. He was just like chilling. He had a beer in his hand. He was like sipping it, and he stopped at a certain point and just like looked around and just kept on walking. I was like, that's awesome. And so they were talking to you. That's pretty awesome.
That was my reward. They gave me. They kept going, "Do you want a beer?" I go, "I'm still working, but
I'll take a beer. It's fine.
yeah." So I took it afterwards, and
So they had you shaping yesterday, and you had like a couple of drinks, and were you shaping like all like strange?
No. I was first off, I can handle my alcohol, but no, I'm a professional, so I can. No, I didn't drink that much, and I've been doing this a long time. I just I was having more problems just with not my own tools,
Yeah, of course.
I'm borrowing tools, but it worked out great. So I roughed it out, and it got to a certain point where I did all the electric planing and just. It was not, board wasn't finished or perfect, but I got all the heavy duty roughing part. And then I came back this morning around 9 and finished it off. Yeah.
Now, how long does it take you to shape a board, more or less?
If I'm hand shaping, usually about 3 hours or so. And I do a lot of this off the machine. I have CNC machines now that pre-cut the board. Like I'll make a master, I make it like as close to perfect as I can. And the computer will scan it.
All right.
And then how they do with they first do the machines for front doors where they have the cutout squares and rectangle. So instead of someone doing it by hand every time, a computer carving machine does it. So it'll do the board 90% of the way done.
Yeah.
So it does the rockers, the concaves, the deck, the curves, and outline V-bombs, everything. So it's saves a lot of time and work, and they can be adjusted for different individuals, like thicker, wider, shorter. So I have a lot of different programs. So it saves time because a lot of it's just busy work. You get a blank and you just got to, I got to take half an inch off. So you're just going back and forth and then cutting it out. So it's when they first came out 20 years ago, people were against them, saying, they have no soul, blah blah blah. But if you think about it, if you've seen a blank, they're not a rectangle foam with no rocker or anything. They look kind of like a surfboard already. So it's got that kind of general idea. So in my mind, nowadays I go, well, we're not starting with a rectangular piece of foam and doing everything. So this just makes things easier. And And if you do have a really good shape, it's it's like perfect every time. So
Yeah, I mean the initial shape is what it's.
yeah,
like,
it's unique. Everyone has
unique anyway. So.
Everyone has their own style and their own shapes, and I have many different programs from single fins to twin fins to longboards, thrusters, everything. So I have a lot of different things I can pull from, and I do hand shape too, because not everything's on the machine. Like some people actually use a program called Shape 3D, which you literally do it on the computer. And
right.
So I have some older friends that they're really good with the computer, and they hardly ever hand shape anymore. So they'll have certain programs and they can adjust them.
Yeah, well, they're pretty much shaping anyway. Like they're adding all the attributes and all the.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's experience and knowing where to put your hands one way or another. Whether you're using one tool that's a big robot or if you're using that tool, it's all tools. I think at the end of the day, if it makes you more productive and it makes your output consistent.
Yeah, it does that. It makes your output consistent, and you can alter it, like fine detail, like you make it railed harder, softer. So you can have a square tail and cut a swallowtail into it. So it's like it's very you can adjust them quite a bit. And like you said, it's you start out with something near perfect. I don't. I've had these shapes I've perfected, so to speak, and then you can go back to them over and over again. And it makes my job easier too, and especially as you get older, I can't hand shape 5-board today anymore. So, so instead of doing couple, I can do, off the machine, you can do them, some people do them in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes off the machine. So I'm not that fast, but.
What's your favorite part of the shaping process?
Favorite part?
Yeah, like the initial
finishing it.
Exactly.
It's kind of all the same. It's all you got to go from one step to the other. So it's all part of the process. I can tell you what I don't like is like foam dust in the eyes and stuff like that. But no, it's all. I don't dislike anything about it. No.
And what are your plans for the future? Are you passing on your skills to some apprentices or?
Not really. I mean, I've had some people I've helped in the past. Like in fact, Joel Tudor, who's with Vans, who's a sponsor of this event. He's got the duct tapes invitational. It's in Portugal, I think, next weekend. Okay. And he invites. It's all an invitational. So he's got about 20 women, 20 guys going. One of the young guys in it's a guy named Zach Flores. He lives in my town, and he went to school with my youngest daughter, and I've been giving him blanks since he was 10 years old. Right. He's like 18 now, so I've been giving him blanks, and so he started practicing shaping when he was 10, and so now here he is, going to be surfing in competition in Portugal next week.
That's crazy. Just like seeing that, like just the whole life of someone. Right?
Yeah,
awesome.
That's it.
I think cool,
man. We don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah, do you have anything you want to promote, or just want to say something nice about Lightning Bolt, or like whatever?
Lightning Bolt's a great company. Like I said, I've been with them 21 years. They originated in 1971, and they put out a great product. A good family-oriented type, company. I'm happy that they sent me to Portugal. So and Italy, and we're gonna be off to Spain and Biarritz after that, into the UK.
Oh, so it's a lot of traveling now.
Yeah, we're doing it's our Rory and I's European tour, the
fantastic
Catch a Fire tour.
so they're actually they're really investing in the brand again now after a bit of a downtime.
Yeah, it's cyclical. They started with economies we had a bank crisis in America. Yeah. What's it, 10, 12, I don't know how many years ago.
2008.
It hit the economy bad. So, I mean, I lost probably 50, 70% of my customers. Like the surf shops failed, they quit. And so it's things that are going through changes, and things are booming again. Like, I've noticed even in Italy and Portugal, lots of construction. Every other streets that are going, same thing in America. So economy's on the rise. Lightning bolt's doing great, and as you said, the retro things, happening. The young people are into the retro boards and the clothing, and Lightning Bolt does a great job with their, they really believe in their product. They don't cut it in corners. They're eco-friendly type, and they don't want to. They're not producing in China or anything like that. There's a high quality across the board, and I like that. So
Made in America.
Well, made in Portugal. Or,
oh, that's right.
And they also some of their other countries, wherever they're at, they're made in that country. So
cool.
So they're local yet global.
Okay, because, I was looking at the history of Lightning Bolt, which is more like a cooperative of shapers. So they're still doing that. It's like wherever they go, they build up a cooperative of shapers that are like working in the countries.
Kind of, they're kind of leaning that way too. So I'm here with them, and I've had some Hawaiians that are like, we just did Duke Ipa, who's Ben Ipa's son, who Ipa invented the Ipa Sting, and so he contacted me about 2 months ago. He had a couple Australian guys that wanted Lightning Bolt Ipa Sting, so we did a collaborative, and sent him the Lightning Bolt lambs, and they got him the holograms, and like he emailed me, a week or so ago. Oh, I got 2 more people want them, and then I go, I'll see what I can do, and then about a week ago he goes, I started something. I got 4 orders and 4 more people want, So we're going to discuss that kind of stuff, because I have another Hawaiian shaper that went to do boards in Hawaii. And, they do have Rory and Barry Kanaiapuni and Jerry Lopez and Reno Abalera and Tom Parrish doing like the collectible ones, but they're not doing
the retail.
for the public. I mean, not for the public, but for the everyday surfer, So that's what I do in America. I've been doing that for 21 years. So some are high end, some are middle, all quality, but, different pricing just because of the bells and whistles and so to speak.
Beginners, intermediate, and...
So, we're going to be, when we get back to Portugal, we're going to talk about that kind of, going global again, and hopefully I can help them with the America part.
Fantastic. Well, cool. On that positive note, I think we can say thank you very much for coming by and having a chat to us, and good luck for everything.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Hey.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Ciao.
That was great.